Yo, I have a 2007 Cadillac Escalade here. I'm gonna be replacing some U-joints on this. This guy goes driving down the road and it shakes a little when it's under a load. And then like when you just freewheel it, when you let off the gas, it don't do anything. Once in a while when they get loose enough, they'll make noise when you let off the gas and when you're cruising. And then you put a load on it and it pushes the joint up against the yoke and it doesn't make noise. So this is kind of doing some different stuff. It's just a little bit loose. If you can see that. And a dead giveaway, a good indication is if you see a bunch of rust around the inside of the yoke and the U-joint, you know that thing isn't going to be any good. These are pretty straightforward, pretty easy. I don't know why the heck I'm even doing a video on it, but I'm going to. Apparently with these Escalades and these Chevy trucks too, the only difference in the U-joints are, they asked me if I had an aluminum or a steel drive shaft, so I guess you got to figure that out before you call the parts store and ask them. Amazingly enough, I think this is a Dana axle, so they still have standard bolts on here. These are 7/16. You might get away with using an 11 millimeter. There's just 4 bolts on straps. Now, if you're doing this on the ground, you're going to want to make sure that your tires are blocked or something so this thing doesn't move. I have it up in the air, so it really doesn't matter. Some people like to put the car in neutral. I don't think that's going to matter much. You know, I'm going to get a little pry bar action in here and just pop this out. Ooh, that sucker's stuck. Oh, there it goes. Oh yeah, there's nothing left of that. Now this other end's on a slip yoke. It's going into the transfer case because it's a 4-wheel drive. I don't see it leaking at the seal anywhere, so I'm going to leave the rear seal in this. I'm not going to replace it. This just slides straight out. Apparently this calls for 534 Gs. So I got some good Moogs. Now usually there's only 2 different types of U-joints. There's inners and outers. This has inner clips on it, and the outer clips are on the out. So I'm just going to get in here with a chisel and a hammer and try to hammer this out of here. This bearing's nice and crunchy. Sounds real good. Looks like hell. Now these are pretty easy to get out. I'm just going to put it on the vise like this. I'm going to hammer down on the ears. I don't like using a press. A lot of people use a ball joint press or a press. When I was an automotive machinist and I had to do U-joints, I never did that because I've had problems with them. Once in a while, these ears bend. If you try to push this joint down through to get it out, or to get the other cap out anyways, and it sticks really bad, once in a while this ear will bend. And if that bends, then you're in trouble. So I try to do these by hand, and the only way I ever do it is take a hammer and just hit on the inside of the ear, because I'm pounding down on the ear so the cap's coming up, so this ear is not going to bend in. They usually come out pretty easy. Amazingly enough, that one's still greased up. Why you drive like that? Then I can just take this U-joint out like so. I got sawdust everywhere. I better blow some of that off. I was playing with some wood, making a crow feeder. One thing I will do is clean all the rust off of this surface here, because if there's any big flakes of rust on here, the clip is going to be too tight. That looks good. Now the joint comes with 3 inner clips and a grease zerk. And the grease zerk goes in this hole right here, but you want to put that in last. You have to put the shaft, you have to put the U-joint in the shaft before you put in this zerk. Because if you try to put that grease zerk in now and put that U-joint in, a lot of times you can break that grease zerk. One of the first things I do is grease this before I put it in. That way I don't have to use this grease zerk, and it will be pre-greased when I put it in. And the way I do that is by packing these caps. There's a little bit of grease in there already. So I'm just going to fill this cap like half full. I got it about half full with grease. Then I can just put the cap on, and that'll pack it, and it'll fill this thing up. I'm going to do that with all 4. Looks like these Moogs already have a good amount of grease in them, and nice high quality grease. Some of these U-joints you buy got some really crappy packing grease in them. So now it's all packed and ready to go. Now I'm going to use the anvil on my vise. I got it set up so the drive shaft's fairly level. I'm going to take one of these caps off. I'm going to stick it in the hole like this. Take another cap off. Just like operation, try not to touch the sides. I can drop that right down in there, and that'll keep the bearings from flying out of the cap. There's all kinds of little roller bearings in here. You need to keep those in there. That's the neat trick. If you do anything wrong, them needle bearings can fall into the bottom of the cap, and then you got to take it all apart. So I'm going to start by just gently tapping on this. Right now it's in a pretty good spot. I can put one of these clips in. Just because. There, I got an inner clip in there now. I got like a 17mm socket here. That seems to be like my go-to for U-joints most of the time. I'm going to put that on there, and I'm going to pound it through more. Yeah, you don't want to hit the drive shaft either. You don't want to dent the shaft. I've done it before and ran them that way, but just try not to. See, now I pushed that up far enough so I can get this cap on, and the needles are going to go around the joint. So now I'm just going to tap this back down in here. It's got to go more. So I'm going to flip it around. Put the 17 on this side and do it some more. And right now this U-joint, I can't even turn it. It's so tight. And you don't want to run it that way either. You run it that way, you're going to wreck stuff. I've seen U-joints explode because of that. So all you got to do is just hit the ear on a couple of spots. And it freed it up really nice. Then I can put this grease zerk in. Sometimes these are 7mm, sometimes they're 8. Sometimes it's on the center of the cap. It's tapered pipe too, so you don't need to reef on it. Just get the thing in there, and I don't know, I'd say about 4 foot-pounds maybe. It's fine. I'm gonna tape this one up so the caps don't fall out. Now these U-joints usually last like 2 to 1, meaning that the driven joint goes out twice as fast as the drive joint. I believe that's how it goes. This is the drive, that's the driven. So this joint actually still feels pretty nice, but I can't believe it's not on its way out. It's a 200,000 mile factory joint, and I already replaced that other one roughly 100,000 miles ago, I think. So I'm going to replace this one, even though it's still okay. I can't believe it's not going to be for very long. The fun thing with these factory joints is the fact that you see these little buttons right here? That's actually plastic. And what this is it's extruded plastic. They put plastic and inject it down into the U-joint, and there's a ring on the inside of the joint that holds all this in. So I got to get that plastic out. A lot of people just use a ball joint press and drive the thing through. And that really increases your chances of damaging these ears. So I'm going to torch these out. I always torch these. When I was a machinist, I used oxygen acetylene. I don't have it, so I'm going to have to use MAP gas. Anytime you do this too, you want to be careful. You want to stand out of the way of this. It'd be a good idea to wear a face shield, because once in a while, when you're trying to torch this out and this plastic starts squirting out of here, once in a while, these U-joints make a loud bang and they just fly off if you get them too hot, and then it makes a big mess all over the place, and you don't want to be burning your face or burning your eyeballs or burning your balls. I'm just going to do this the way I do this. I'm going to use some MAP gas, and I'm just going to torch it until I see the plastic squirting out of this. And if it starts squirting out, then I know it's hot enough, and then I can just bang the cap off. I can see it starting to melt. It's melting on the top up here, so I know the front of this ear is hot enough. The plastic on the back just pushed out, so it's probably hot enough right now. I'm going to try to pound this out now. There. It's fine and dandy. I just got to do the same to all four of these. That one squirted out really well. That's what you really like to see. Then you know it's hot enough. Now there's plastic in these grooves I'm going to take out. There's always extra plastic in here. I'm just going to get in here with a pick. And usually you can get behind this junk. Ow! And stab yourself in the finger. Try to get this stuff out of here. Now I'm going to do the same with this. I got it all prepped out. I got the plastic out of the grooves. I got everything filed down. I already packed these bearing caps. I'm just going to do the same thing I did to the other one, only I'm going to start with the yoke. One thing I didn't do too that you should probably always do is when you get the original joint out, you want to put the caps back on and make sure that it looks exactly the same as the U-joint you're putting in, because once in a while they get it wrong. All those clips went in nice. All that pounding around made this yoke loose, but this one's still too tight. It's supposed to fall on its own. So I'll hammer on this. And that's all it took. Put the grease zerk in. I'm going to wipe this yoke off. Make sure there's nothing on here that doesn't belong there. I could emery cloth this, but that usually don't do a damn thing for anybody or anything. Put a little tranny fluid on here. There, it's ready to get stuck in the hole. One thing I don't dare to leave out is putting the clips in the U-joints that go into the yoke, into the axle. These are mucho important. You must have these in here. If those aren't in there, those U-joint caps could fly right out. Now I can carefully stick the thing in the hole. Should go in real nice and easy. Can take my tape off. I'm just going to turn the axle until I get the U-joint to line up and slide it in the groove. Put the straps back on. The bolts for the U-joint straps get torqued to 18 foot-pounds. And there it is. It's a job. Okay, bye.